Golfing in 110-degree heat. Best time. Yeah, I guess so. Happy Thursday. Happy Thursday, everybody. Last day here, so a lot of work to get done. They're charged up, so we'll have a good day here, and then we hit a little bit of a break, and then July 22nd we'll be back at it. What do we got?
I know when you get to the end of an off-season thing, a lot of times the coaches will talk to their team about, hey, don't be that guy, all that stuff. Do you think that still resonates with guys? Do they kind of know that if you build a certain culture that you don't want to be that guy, or does that message still need to be?
Yeah, we educate our guys on what's winning behavior inside the gates and outside the gates, so they know what's expected.
Talk about year one to year two. Does that stand for offensive linemen, guys like Isaiah Adams? And what do you think he benefited him the most those last 5 starts of last year, and what have you seen so far this year?
He's doing a good job. Worked on his technique, worked on his physical bucket, I would say. He's made a big jump. He's had a really good spring, but he knows, like all the linemen know, like everybody knows, you got to put on pads to see where you're really at. But he's doing a good job.
As you head into the break, how do you feel about how much you've accomplished before?
Yeah, I think our learning was definitely accelerated. I think the new guys in the building, their first year, whether it be free agents or rookies, are caught up to speed. And this, these last 8 weeks or whatever, really just a stepping stone towards camp, so they know they got to hit the ground running, they got to do the right things in their off time, and be ready to go.
How valuable is that to get these kids, especially the young ones, on the field, put them in some adverse situations and see how they react?
Yeah, very valuable. They're learning experiences for all those guys. It's all new to them. Yes, it's just playing football at the end of the day, but it's new techniques, new scheme, new way of doing things, new expectations and standards for them, So really pleased with the rookie class, though, right now as we sit here today.
Speaking of a rookie class, with a guy like Elijah Simmons, who comes into what looks like a very deep room. Mm-hmm. He's got to not only learn the game, but also battle that depth chart. Like, what have you seen out of him, and what kind of message do you give? Is it any different to a guy like that?
No, tell him, just like we tell all the rookies, this is where you're at right now, and this is what you need to do to improve. But I understand the question there, and the battling the depth chart, like you have it like if you count numbers, that's an external factor that's really pointless. Like, control what you can control, and become the best player you can be, because you don't know how it's going to kick out.
What have been your initial impressions of Jordan Burch?
Really smart, detailed. I think that we've moved him around a little bit. You see some of the physical traits that we saw on tape, which is one of the reasons we drafted him. He's been excellent with learning fourth down as well. Just like all our rookies, needs to get on the pads and get some live reps and go through some learning experiences. But I'm pleased where he's at right now. He's doing well.
We talked to Josh Sweat yesterday, and he said his 2 years with you in Philly, he had a lot of freedoms, or more freedoms than he had previously. And he said that's kind of the feeling he has now. What does freedom for Josh Sweat look like?
Freedom for Josh Sweat look like, huh? Well, I would say not just for Josh Sweat, for all our guys. Like, within the framework of scheme, if you have to get something done, and you can get it done playing with a different technique or a different alignment or a different eye progression, than what I say to do, that's okay. You know what I mean? So now we give them a couple different tools, you know what I mean, and pick the best one. But I don't think it's just like DB play, it's wide receiver, it's everybody. I don't think it's one size fits all. Hey, this is how you have to do it, because Josh Sweat doesn't look like Zaven Collins, doesn't look like Baron Browning, doesn't look like Jordan Burch, doesn't look like XT. You know what I mean? So it's like, I think that's, you're kind of hindering them at times if you do that. So with saying that, he has to do things within the framework of the defense to make sure that he's handling his business too. But we give those guys some freedom. Our entire staff does.
With Will, what's been the factor limiting his participation?
A little bit of tight hamstring.
Speaking of corner, Elijah Jones, how would you assess where he's at right
Yeah,
now?
I thought he had his best day yesterday. Really do. Yeah, he's done well. He's worked on his health bucket a lot, which needed to improve, and he's took that to heart, and he's done a really good job. I think looks comfortable out there, second year in the system, and he didn't get to practice a ton last year because, he had the injury there, but he's improving. He's really come on here this last week. He's doing well.
What are his strengths? Just to refresh our memory.
He's got length. He's got coverage ability. He can press. He can play off. He's got pretty good instincts. He can run. He's doing well.
Well, the schemes are set. We've talked about wanting
Never set, Danny.
have an idea right now. You want to put your players in position. You can kind of tweak things based on their skill set. Are you at a point in the offseason where you feel like you can do that, or is it too tough since players aren't in pads? Is that something you guys handle more so in training camp?
No, I think you can do it. I do. Because the offense, the defense, special teams looks significantly different right now than it did, when we played whoever we played the last game of the year, So, in my opinion, good coaching is knowing who you got and then trying to tailor fit what you're doing with the people in mind first. Where it will change or tweak a little bit as we get going is when we start playing games, because I think then you have to tweak it as well towards your opponent. So right now that's a long way away, but we're kind of the things that we wanted to work on, and a couple tweaks here and there, the couple wrinkles, like I've seen it come to fruition. Some of it looks good, some of it we got to put a little more time on task to. Some of it we might meet next week and say, let's just bag it. It's not worth it, So it's a good question. It's an ever-evolving thing, and that's how it will always be, I think, honestly.
What are your expectations from your players, what you want to see from them from now until training camp?
Become better football players, So you'd say, well, they're not with you, right? And there's a lot that they can work on when it relates to their development as players on and off the field. So that's the expectation. You know what I mean? I don't want these guys to show up the same that there are now. Like, then you're going to be behind. So they know that, and they all have plans to do that.
Where have you seen a guy like Xavier Weaver grow the most coming into this season?
Well, he put on some weight, so I think he's a little more physical running routes. He's not getting knocked around, at the line of scrimmage. So that just the physical thing jumps out to me. And he's done a good job. He's playing 3 different spots. He's done a good job mentally too, which is hard for certain guys, especially only his second year, however many snaps he had last year, not a ton, but he played the Green Bay game and did a really good job, in the Green Bay game. He gets open and he catches it. So I'm excited to see him move through to training camp too.
Was that something that you wanted him to do, is bulk up this offseason?
Yeah.
How long do you plan on keeping
Contested catches.
How long do you plan on keeping the rookies? Were they?
As long as I need to.
With the middle linebacker spot that Kaiser vacated, how does the skill set for that spot differ from the skill set required for the other linebacker spots in your defense?
Well, like which linebacker spots, Teo, I guess.
Like, how does the role that you had Kaiser playing last year differ from maybe the role that Mac or Owen or
Okay,
Chris?
all right, so let's take outside linebackers out of it, right? Completely different position, got it. So inside linebacker. So very similar. It's honestly what I kind of talk about with the safety position. Like, they're kind of mirrored positions. Do they align differently? Do they have different responsibility? Yes. But at the end of the day, like in the run game, hit the ball, and in the pass game, if you're playing with vision and landmark-based zone drops, like be able to close windows, play off the quarterback, and if we're in a pattern match scheme, pattern match zone or pattern match man, to be able to cover people. You know what I mean? So they got to be able to play in space. But those 2 positions are pretty mirrored to me.
When it comes to that room, the linebacker room in general, how nice is it to have a guy like Josh Sweat here where he's got some experience with you, relationship with you, where maybe he can help out like a Jordan Burch or other guys. This is how Coach likes things.
Yeah, I think it's I think I talked about it yesterday. I think talking to players talking to players, there's a different type of learning with that comes from that organically, truthfully. So, I always say he can kind of be the translator, like, this is what I'm saying, this is what Nick's saying, this is what Matt Feeney's saying, but here's what really he's saying. You know what I mean? Hopefully we're not that confusing. But, I think it's just the viewpoint of somebody that's played a lot of ball at a high level. They always have some tricks of the trade that can help younger guys or other players. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of learning that goes on in between our guys. There's no doubt about it.
What said he's not a rah-rah type
He's
of
not.
leader. How would you describe his leadership style?
Probably more, I guess, lead by example, whatever that means. He, when he straps it up and goes in between the white lines, like you can point to him and say, that's how we want you to play. From an effort standpoint, from a motor standpoint, from a violence standpoint, from an execution standpoint. He takes the coaching and applies it on the grass. I'm sure you guys are getting to know him. He's a little bit quiet, but he'll talk to his teammates, he'll talk to his coaches, and he's got really good viewpoints. You know what I mean? I had a chat with him yesterday on the grass quickly, and it was cool to hear his mentality on something that we were talking about, but kind of forgot about it. He's more of the watch what I do, do as I do, not as I say.
Coach, what are your thoughts on the offensive line's progression?
Yeah, I thought they looked really good this last week, and cohesiveness. I feel like guys have really elevated their game. From Paris on down, not ranking them or anything like that, just the who's working with the ones, who's working with the twos, who's working with the threes. I think they're doing a really good job. I think Fry and Cookie are doing a really good job. We tweaked some things for us moving into this year, and which they played at a really high level last year, but wanted to do some things that we wanted to tweak a little bit, and I'm starting to see some of those things come alive, and it looks good. As always, we got to get in some equipment pretty soon, but I like where they're trending.
Jacoby has played a lot of football, and when Kyler spoke this week, he said what he really respects about Jacoby is the fact that he hasn't come in with the backup mindset, has come in and is working like a starter every day. What have you seen Jacoby add to that QB room so far?
Yeah, that. I mean, high-level intelligence, the way he goes about his business, like Sweaty, he does. You know what I mean? He comes to play every day. He's in early, out late. He studies. He works at it. He's very interactive in meetings. He wants to know the why all the time, so he understands it. He's done a really good job. I was around him when he was kind of middle of his career, and then Drew and Iz had him a little bit later. But he's a good football player. He really is.
Back to Will for a quick second. Do you expect him
back
to Will Johnson? Do you expect him to be ready for camp?
Yeah.
Cody Simon, how has he been doing, and what does he need to keep showing you?
Keep improving. Make mistakes and correct them, and don't make them again. You know what I mean? But he's definitely flashed here. We got him playing a couple different spots, and so that's good. He's playing on fourth down right now, so he's learning all that. He's eager to learn. He doesn't make mistakes twice. He's got juice. He's physical. Just like all those guys, a long way to go, but I like where he's at.
Dalvin talked about the defensive line already forming a brotherhood. You can see it out there during the open portion of practice. How much do you notice that? Is that something that's been on the top of your brain?
I kind of, not really on the top of my brain. I kind of anticipated that happening when you got, all good guys in the room, whether it be rookies or what year vet is Calais? 18-year vet. You got some 10-year vets. You got some 3-year vets. You know what I mean? But my point is, when they're all good guys and they're team first, those groups get pretty tight. So they care about each other. They help each other out. They know that everybody in that room has to play their best ball if we want to do what we want to do. So it's been cool to see. But I wouldn't say just the D-line. I think all our groups are like that too.
After going through OTAs and camp, how excited are you for the pads to come on for training camp?
Excited. Yeah, excited. That'll be good. That was one of the things that we kind of tweaked going into camp, and the players know this. Have a little more friction. You know what I mean? So during camp, so in a safe way, but I want to get on the pads a little bit and play football.
Why did you want to change that?
Just I think for where we're at as a team and where our development is and where our health is, honestly, and you have to adapt that as we get going in training camp. Thought honestly it was the best thing to do. Get ready to play week 1.
You've been part of some special teams in the past. Obviously, every team and season is very unique in its own. But are there any early indicators that you can see at this time of year that maybe might lead to some belief that it could be a special?
I would think that the box that I think that we checked through this last eight weeks are they care about each other, you know, and they understand that we need everybody in that locker room to do what we want to do, and they take care of each other. I call it protecting your teammates. They take care of each other, and they compete. So those are two good things. If you're a highly competitive team and you care about each other, then that, you know, sets forth a foundation that you can try to improve every day and win games.
One thing we've heard throughout the last couple of weeks is that this offense is kind of at a next level. Everyone's learning new things, more things, right? Like higher advanced things. Was that the plan all along? Was kind of a 3-year gradual?
No, it's just kind of the evolution of being year 3 in a system. You know what I mean? And it goes into who we have out there right now. You know, so I wouldn't say when we got here, hey, year 3, let's sauce it up. You know what I mean? It's not like that. But I think, you know, going into this off season, when we sit down with everybody and talk, it's who do we have? What can we do? What are people good at? Okay, let's sauce it up.
Speaking of sauce, we've heard there's going to be some more motions as a defensive coach. Hot sauce. What does that do for a defense when there's so much pre-snap motion and movement?
You know, it can fool with your eyes, and it makes you communicate more. You know, honestly, it makes you get to different things as motions are happening or whatever the case may be. You have to have rules for all that stuff, and you can have rules for it, but you got to communicate all that, and you got to be on the same page. So that can be, in certain calls, not all of them, but in certain calls, be you know, a handful. You know, so you know, it's you either feel pressure or apply it. You know what I mean? That's a way to apply pressure to the defense from an offensive standpoint.
Brought in Elliott Brown from the CFL. How have you seen him learning the NFL game, and what are some of the?
It's been awesome. Yeah, he's really taken a jump too these last couple of weeks. He definitely has a skill set. You know what I mean? And I think to start out, I think, you know, mentally what we ask those guys to do, you know, I don't want to say it's difficult, but there's some rules and stuff that they got to know. You know what I mean? Which was a little different for him, but. He's taken the coaching, and he's really improved with that part of his game.
His thing, I was talking with him, was about how when he was in the CFL, it was only pass rushing for him. With considering how you use your outside linebackers, what are some of the challenges that he has to learn when it comes to dropping back into coverage and all the other things that you guys do?
The first challenge would be is the NFL, they run it too. So you got to play the run well. And then with that, you know, we don't have our outside guys rushing every time. So you got to learn some concepts, you know, playing that position in our scheme. You got to understand some coverage concepts.
Coach, thank you.
Easy? Okay, thank you.
See ya. Guys, be good.